Hello, everybody, and surprise, surprise, we're doing a special mid-month update of the Disneyland Magical Audio Tour because I have added so much new content that if I wait till December 1st to do an update, it's going to be ridiculous and like 5 hours long. Well, I'm exaggerating, but... And as a special treat, I have invited a guest, the first ever guest on my Disneyland Audio Tour updates. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Chris. How's it going today?
Good. I invited Brian because for a few reasons. One is that if you haven't met Brian before, because I know a lot of you only watch my updates and don't listen to my podcasts or anything. And Brian does the show notes for the Disneyland Magical Audio Tour update, so I thought you all might like to meet him. And also, I thought it might be fun for him to sort of add a little color commentary to the new tracks I've added. And he also has a special announcement to make because Brian has been running my Instagram account as well. Brian has been like the best fan ever. He's basically become a part of the show and everything. So welcome, Brian. And
No, it's my pleasure to help out. Just trying to get the word out because you create some great stuff that people need to know about.
Well, thank you. Well, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. It's just less than two. When is it? A week from Thursday?
Yeah, less than 2 weeks.
My gosh.
Gobble gee.
This year has just gone by ridiculously fast. So
You can't
before
go by fast enough.
That's true. It hasn't been a good one. So I just want to, I'm not going to go through all of my little plugs and everything, but a couple things I do want to mention really quick before we get started. Again, Patreon. If you have not considered supporting me on Patreon, please do, because for as little as $1 a month, you get special rewards. Just for $1 a month, I send you all of my Song of the Day tracks every month. So it's, 30 songs. What's 30 divided by $1?
Math in public. Like 3 cents?
3 cents.
3 cents a song.
Yeah, 3 cents a song. So that's a bargain, if ever there was one. And also, if you pledge for $5 a month, you get a special podcast, which Brian is a guest on quite frequently. And it's called Down the Rabbit Hole. And it's just for our Patreon subscribers. And you also get commentaries on various cartoons and Disney documentaries, Disneyland documentaries, and Brian is always on those, so you get, not only do you get bonus content, but you get bonus Brian for becoming a Patreon subscriber.
We're not trying to scare people away from Patreon here now.
So to get to Patreon,
it's a lot of fun being on the shows with you guys. We have a lot of fun.
Well, we enjoy that. And as a matter of fact, Brian was Ruthie took a show off, and he was did a wonderful job co-hosting the Lady and the Tramp episode with me earlier this year. So, and Ruthie, he and I did the Haley Mills extravaganza, two-parter,
just two
recently. But anyway, to get to Patreon, it's it's https:// www.patreon.com/DisneyChris. And another way you can help support our many worldwide web endeavors is our online store, and we have some merch. We have Dateline Jiminy Crickets mugs. We have DisneyChris.com stuff. All of these items are available in either design. We don't give away electric guitars or laptop computers. Those are just stickers that you can get. I don't want to false advertise. I mean, if we could sell electric guitars, I think we would, but anyway. The shirts. Cool. The shirts are available in multiple colors and men's, women's, children's, and extra large sizes. So there's a shirt for every body type and age group and gender. And color preference.
I need the extra large because of the quarantine 15.
That's right. And our shop is at jcpodcast.threadless.com. Now, I want to really quickly mention our Instagram because Brian has become our Instagram moderator and poster. And he's been doing a terrific job, and we have gained a following. When Brian started doing it about 2 months ago, we had about 500, and now we're nearing 1,000 followers. And if you're not following us already, please do, because look at all these amazing images that you're missing out on that Brian has been posting for me.
Yeah, all I've been doing is adding a few captions and some hashtags, so that kind of helps spread the word a little bit.
Spread the word.
It's been fun. We're almost to 1,000, so that big push. You guys listening today can get us to that milestone.
Right, and also, I want to mention this image because that's one of our mugs, which you saw on the merchandise page. And we have a special giveaway. Tell everybody what's going on with that mug, Brian.
Okay, sure. So, as Chris mentioned, we just did a 2-part episode of Haley Mills, and we decided to release a special episode later this month. We're going to record that next Sunday, I believe. And so we're just put this post out there to gather some listener comments and questions that we'd like to share on that podcast. And from all the listener comments and questions that are on this post, and also the one I put out on Facebook, on the Jiminy Crickets podcast Facebook page, we're going to randomly select one of those comments and send you that mug that's pictured there.
Right. So all you have to do is post a comment and you're entered to win the mug.
That's right.
And when we choose a winner at random, we will get your shipping information and send you the mug. So we want to encourage precipitation. We want to encourage rainy weather. No. I can't think of the word. What's the word, Brian?
Participation.
Participate. What's the matter with me?
The rain in Spain stays mainly in the
and not on the brain. That's for sure. All right, my brain just had a malfunction.
So you
have
until Saturday, November 21st, just before midnight, to put your comments there.
Right, because we need to have it before we record it.
Yeah, we'll announce the winner on the podcast, actually.
So it's going to be a special bonus episode, and we're calling it a mini episode, and it's going to be released on this YouTube channel as well as our regular podcast feed, and it's all going to be listener feedback, and we want to generate more listener feedback and excitement about that, because we want to start including a segment on our Dateline Jiminy Crickets YouTube show starting next year with listener feedback. But we don't get a lot of listener feedback, so we want to start getting enough feedback where we can start doing a segment on our show. So that's why we're doing this, so we can start generating more commenting, and we want to hear from you. We want to know how we're doing and how we can improve, and good, bad, or ugly. But so, anyways, one last promo, and then we'll get on to the meat of the situation. I just want to remind everybody that recently we have added a mobile-friendly version of the Disneyland Magical Audio Tour. You can get to it from my homepage. If you want to get to it directly, the URL is disney-chris.com/mobile-friendly-audio-tour.html. And it's the same as the regular audio tour, all the same music, but it's a format that is easier to navigate on your mobile device. And we've over time had a lot of issues with that, and a lot of people asking for that. So we finally figured it out and got that. It's not an app. It's a mobile-friendly regular website page that's set up for mobile devices. So you don't have to download anything or anything like that.
Yeah,
so
you just open up your mobile browser like Safari for iPhone and
right. Any mobile browser will host it. Chrome.
Type that in and then bookmark it.
And bookmark it, absolutely. So let's talk about the Disneyland Magical Audio Tour. By the way, you're listening to a track from my holiday page on the Disneyland Magical Audio Tour, which is the Thanksgiving banquet at the Disneyland Hotel. I thought it would be appropriate since Thanksgiving is approaching. But let me show you the a holiday time chapter really quick before I get into the new stuff I've added, just to let you know that it's there, because there's a lot of fun Thanksgiving music there. Believe it or not, I have enough music to have a whole section for Thanksgiving. Believe it or not. So here is... Oh, it's loading really slow. There it goes. Okay. Well, the page is loading really slow, but...
There you go, starting at track 3, right?
Well, I haven't shown it to the audience yet because it's still loading. There it goes. Okay. I'm ready to show you the page now, everybody. You ready? Voila! Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. But this is my holiday chapter. And don't confuse it with Christmas. This is every holiday other than Christmas. And what I do is I move up the most soon-to-come holiday to the top of the page. The first 2 tracks never change because they're sort of introductory tracks that sort of give you sort of a little preview of, like, for every... They sort of encompass the theme of holidays in general. So always starting at track number 3 will be the most recent holiday. And for Thanksgiving, I have 6 tracks. And the one you're listening to right now is this one right here, the Disneyland Hotel Thanksgiving Banquet. And you might not be able to hear it because I have it turned down really low. But in addition to the piano, you can also hear plates clanging and glasses clanging and crowds murmuring in the background. I added all that ambiance.
That's what I love about it.
I also have a song. I have a song for the turkey legs, and 2 presidential speeches for the Turkin. I can't talk today. Turkey pardon ceremony with George W. Bush and Barack Obama pardoning turkeys that are going to go to Disneyland. Yeah, I found stuff to add. So anyway, check that out. And then, of course, after Thanksgiving is over, I'll have a whole New Year's section. This will move to the top of the page after Thanksgiving, because the Christmas is on another page. I'll tell you about Christmas next month. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But anyway, I just wanted to show you all that really quick. But let's talk about what I've recently added. I've added tracks to these 6 chapters, which basically is New Orleans Square, Frontierland, and then Frontierland / Rivers of America, and then Bear Country / Critter Country, and then the original Fantasyland and the new Fantasyland. I'm working on 12 chapters, but I've only added to 6 chapters so far. I wanted to just do 6 before I did an update. I didn't want to get crazy before I did filmed. Are we filming this? Recorded an update. Videotaped an update.
I might take notes right now because I'm going to have to write this all up later.
Yeah, I thought it might be helpful for you to get this from the horse's mouth.
I'm going to just enjoy it and listen to it again later.
Okay, so let's go to chapter 7, New Orleans Square, and I'll show you all the new tracks I've added to that chapter, and specifically, I'm going to tell you details about what the tracks are. I only like to do that when a track has been added, so I haven't really I've shown you what I will be adding, but I usually wait until it's been added before I explain what it is. It just makes it easier, I guess. So, here we are. And let's go through this real quick. Well, as quick as possible, I guess. So, track 1 is a redo. It was on the site before, and I cleaned it up. I had a little bit of an echoing issue on the old version, and I cleaned up the audio quite a bit, and it's much, much better, but it's basically the same thing that was there before. And this is from the TV episode of The Wonderful World of Color from 1966 called Disneyland Around the Seasons. And this is where Walt Disney introduces us to New Orleans Square, which had just opened a couple months earlier before that aired. And this was actually before Pirates had even opened. Now, I will be adding the New Orleans Square dedication, which I do have the audio for, the actual live audio from the dedication ceremony, but I haven't worked on it yet, so it's not there yet. So anyway, Disneyland is Your Land, New Orleans Square. This is the section from the 1980 stage show, which was called Disneyland is Your Land, which basically was a musical tour of the park. And this is the section that covered New Orleans Square. I edited it together and made a fun little medley out of it. A Day at Disneyland New Orleans Square is the New Orleans Square section from a 1982 home video called A Day at Disneyland, which talks about New Orleans Square and pirates and Haunted Mansion. Disneyland's 25th anniversary. It doesn't fit because I have this new here. Eventually there'll be the word way right here, because the name of the song is actually Way Down Yonder in New Orleans. But if I put the word way there, it would bump it down to the next line. So I just took right. So when it's not new anymore, it'll say Way Down Yonder in New Orleans. Anyway, in 1980, for the 25th anniversary, they had what was called the Family Reunion Parade, and it had sections from each of the lands, and this is the music from the New Orleans Square section from that parade. And cool. A Day at the Happiest Place on Earth is from a 1993 video, which was basically an update to that 1982 video. And it gave a tour of the park. And this is, again, the New Orleans Square section of that video. What else have I added? Let's see. I don't even remember.
I don't know. I'm really looking forward to that dedication speech audio. So get to work on that later.
Okay, so Pirates of the Caribbean Overture. This is the music you hear in the queue area when you enter Pirates of the Caribbean, and they've got that display with the pirate flag and the parrot and the treasure chest when you first walk in. It's the music
that great
you hear.
flute melody.
Yeah, it was
it.
already there before, but I did some cleanup on it. So this is a redo. Pirates of the Caribbean load and unload spiels. This is the comparatively recently added load and unload spiel when you get on and off the boat at the docking area. It's both the Spanish and English versions. So I thought I'd add that because it's fun. And let's see what else we've added. Okay, I added the Jolly Roger spiel with Xavier and Tencio as just its own separate thing with no background music. Actually, did I have background music on this? No, it's just the dialogue with no background music or anything. And I just wanted to have it in case anybody wanted it that way. And
sometimes you miss the dialogue with the background music in there.
Oh, and the other reason I added it is because on my ride through reenactment, because he basically says two different spiels, but you usually only hear one of them, one or the other, depending on at what point you get to him, the skeleton, the skull and crossbones. Right. So that way, because I'm only using one on my ride through, but this way you can hear both. That was another reason why I added that. Scrolling down. All these coming soons are, in fact, coming soon. They will eventually be added at some point. Let's see. Okay, so this Haunted Mansion introduction is interesting. This is a more recent acquisition. This was actually something that played on the park-wide announcement speakers on opening day when the Haunted Mansion opened. It's Peter Renaday, and he's telling everybody that the Haunted Mansion is opening and everything, and it's sort of delivered as a fun little, he explains why the outside of the building is nicely manicured and explains, but inside it's all decrepit, and he gives that whole explanation, which is a lot of fun. And it's a really rare piece of audio, and I had to do some trickery because there was some skips, and I had to sort of fudge around to fix it, but I think I did a good job. You won't notice it. It's a good job when you don't notice it, right?
Pete Renaday, what a great actor.
Well,
great Disney guy.
He did the ghost host for the album. So he sort of did that for this announcement too, which is interesting. The album version of the Haunted Mansion, he filled in for Paul Frees and was the ghost host for the album version. So Quote the Raven is all the different versions and variations of the Raven speaking during the Haunted Mansion, because originally he was going to speak. So these are all the things that were cut out from the final version with the Raven speaking. There's even a version by what's her name, who did Madame Leota's voice, Eleanor Audley, doing the Raven. And then I have the Raven dialogue from the Disneyland record version as well, all mixed in.
Yeah, that's where I know it from.
Yeah, but there's actual ones that were recorded for the actual attraction, and they weren't used either. So that's sort of a fun little mix that I made. So that's fun. So that's New Orleans Square, and I've already set up this one, as Brian knows. I just have to do the final cleanup, because Brian has been looking forward to this one.
To Mystic Manor?
Mystic Manor, right.
Yeah, our family took a trip to Hong Kong in 2017, and I remember asking a cast member if I can get the audio to the attraction, but they don't even have a park CD over
It
there.
hasn't been. They don't have a park
Hasn't.
CD. They don't have a park CD, and they don't have any audio at all. The way I got this is sort of pieced together from different videos and things that Disney has released, and I sort of took a little bit from
Yeah.
there and a little bit from there, and sort of
They
did
need to
the
take
best
a
I
lesson
could.
from Tokyo and start
I
releasing some
know.
audio.
Even Disneyland California needs to take a lesson from Tokyo.
Yeah.
So the next chapter I worked on is Frontierland. Frontierland. Have you heard that song before, Brian?
Were you singing the beginning of Disneyland 61?
No.
Frontierland?
Actually, it does sort of sound like that.
It did.
It's fun. But it's actually from Disneyland Song Parade.
Okay. There you go.
Okay,
He
so
doesn't just make this stuff up, folks.
no. Well, don't trust that. Sometimes I do. Anyway, Walt Disney Takes You to Frontierland was on the site already, but it was a completely different version. I had the beginning of it, and then it was followed by the fife and drum corps music. Now it is the actual music from the Disneyland record from 1956 called Walt Disney Takes You to Disneyland. This is the Frontierland track from that album in full, plus bonus materials that I added in addition. So I added more to it. So it's
Also,
a
it's a little
special.
different from the track on that album.
I added some
Okay,
music
cool.
from Westward Ho! The Wagons and some stuff from Disneyland USA and just some other fun little extras. So you'll notice that the runtime is longer than the runtime from the album version, if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of it. Your Trip to Disneyland on Records is a 1955 children's album that was actually, it was cardboard discs that you cut out and then played on your record. And I purchased at great expense Patreon. I purchased for well over $100 a unopened
Did you really?
copy.
Found one on eBay?
I did, and I sent
I've
it to
seen those
someone.
come up.
I sent it to someone who professionally can record record albums to digital files, and they did that free of charge for me because they're a fan, and they sent me back the files, and they sent me back the records and everything, and
That's good.
yeah, and so this is just a Frontierland album from this. It's like a 6-album set. I have the album in full on my Disneyland Records chapter, and I'm separating each land for the various land chapters that they belong to. So that's new. And Disneyland Song Parade is from a 1950s golden record, which includes the Frontierland theme that you just heard, plus a little selection of songs about different American heroes like Johnny Appleseed and Johnny Tremaine, all narrated by Jiminy Cricket. Really cute. Disneyland is Your Land, like the New Orleans Square chapter. This is from the 25th anniversary stage show where they did a musical review of the whole park. This is the Frontierland segment from that. This was tricky to edit because I actually had to change the order and everything because it sort of begins and ends weird, and to make it sound like a cohesive medley that has a good beginning and ending, I had to completely rearrange everything, and it was difficult to make it sound right. Now, one of the reasons why I took that fife and drum music out of this song is because I have a new version that's just the fife and drum, and it's track 7. And not only does it have the music by the fife and drum corps, it has some of the music from Liberty Square and Walt Disney World, which is fife and drum as well. And I tried to match it up because the Liberty Square music is more echoey than the live music that was recorded. So I think I did a pretty good job of adding echo to the other songs, so it all sounds pretty much like the same recording session for everything. That was a little tricky too. Frontierland Stockade Entrance is the music that Jack Wagner played at the entrance to Frontierland. It was like a 1 minute and 15 second track that looped over and over and over and over and over again all day, every day, 24 hours a day for years. They don't play that anymore, but if you're a long-time Disneylander, you'll recognize it. But I looped it 3 times. I didn't loop it 24 hours. I only looped it 3 times. That's why it's 3 minutes and 39 seconds. But I had it on here before, but I only played it through 1 time. So the new version, I'm playing it 3 times to make it more like what it would be like if you're in the park. Because if you're in the park, it would loop around again and again. But I didn't go crazy. I didn't do it like 50 times or anything.
You walk slow through the gate.
Right. So the Disneyland Story is the 1954 debut episode of the Disneyland television show. And this is the segment where Walt Disney introduces Frontierland and Fess Parker sings the Ballad of Davy Crockett. This is a little section called Frontierland and TV Land. All the different Frontierland things that were featured on the Disneyland television series. And a few other things that are sort of closely related, such as this, which was actually a theatrical production, Disneyland USA. This is the Frontierland segment from Disneyland USA, the 1956 theatrical CinemaScope Technicolor episode of the People and Places series. And then I thought I'd be cute and add the Talent Roundup song from the original Mickey Mouse Club. And this is from the 1957 episode of the Disneyland TV series called Disneyland the Park, where they're talking about Frontierland. And this is from a 1961 special called The Sounds of America, which was on the Bell Telephone Hour. And this is the Frontierland segment, which has an amazing musical number called Bessie and Tessie, about a Don Juan and a pair of twin saloon dancers. I'm not going to give away anything else. No spoilers.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that
But
one.
it's set to the song, what's the name of that song? Frankie and Johnny. You know, Frankie and Johnny were married. Yeah, but it's changed to Bessie and Tessie were sisters. Awesome. And it's really fun. And there's a cat fight and everything. But no more spoilers. Okay.
Cat fight?
A cat fight.
Meow?
Big cat fight. Pulling of hair. Everything. Oh. Yeah. The girls are jealous.
The girls are fighting over.
Yes. Amazing Grace. This is Thanksgiving music, folks. That's So did I add any more Frontierland? Oh yeah, I did. I remember, but I just have to scroll down to it.
Yeah, I added 20 tracks for each chapter, right?
Well, I didn't get through all the tracks for each chapter yet. Oh. Some of them I did 10, some I did 15. I think only one I got. The only one I got all 20 done is Bear Country so far. So Mr. Piano Man is the album version of the song. for Annette. I thought I'd just add it to be fun. Why not? But eventually you'll hear the original soundtrack version in this track, of course, because this is going to be the whole episode of that from the Wonderful World of Color. But I thought I'd also include the album version.
Is that where she first sang the song? In that episode?
Yeah. Okay. And then right after she released it on record.
So the Sherman Brothers wrote it for her for that episode?
Yes, they did, as a matter of fact. Okay, where's the next new? Lots of stuff coming soon, folks. Okay, this is fun. There was a 2018 episode of the new Mickey Mouse shorts called Nature's Wonderland, where Mickey and Minnie visit the Rainbow Caverns. And I included the little song that they sing during that, which is actually set to the song Little Wooden Head from Pinocchio. And he's like, cute. We're gonna go to nature's wonderland, da 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 da. So I thought it'd be fun to include that.
I need to watch more of those new shorts.
I love them. A lot of people are critical of them, hardcore fans, but I actually love them. This is the original 1979 television commercial for Big Thunder Mountain. And then during the commercial, they go, Big Thunder strikes. And then they go, it can only happen at Disneyland. And then I added the segment from the 1982 Day at Disneyland VHS souvenir where they talk about Big Thunder Mountain. And I think that might be it for Frontierland so far. Let me just make sure. I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah, that's it for Frontierland. Let's move to the Rivers of America. Ooh, I told you that I needed to do this, do a bi-monthly update because this is already, how long have we been doing this already? We're not even halfway done. Okay, so again, Disneyland USA, the CinemaScope 1956. This is the segment where they talk about the Rivers of America. This is a section from the Mickey Mouse Club where they did newsreels and where they had like little news stories, sort of like the newsreels that were shown in theaters back in the day, but these were like sort of for kids by kids, and once in a while they do a segment showing something from Disneyland, and this was a little section they did about the Mark Twain steamboat from back in the mid-50s, I should say mid-50s. Again, Disneyland the Park, which we talked about for Frontierland. This is the section that talks about the Rivers of America, a 1957 episode of the Disneyland TV series. This is going to be a little repetitive because I did a lot of stuff from the same things and just split them up into sections. Again, A Day at Disneyland, the 1980 I need to change that to 82. That's a typo. It came out in 82, not 1980. Okay, so anyway.
Yeah, I was going to point that out to you.
A Day at Disneyland, Rivers of America. This is, again, the section that talks about the Rivers of America. And Disneyland is Your Land, the stage show. This is the section that talks about the rivers, that they sing about the Rivers of America. Okay, finally something different. Here Comes the Old Mark Twain is the song from the 1962 episode of The Wonderful World of Color, Disneyland After Dark. It is a song that they sing as the steamboat is coming up to the dock. It's sung by the Dapper Dans. And I had a very difficult time editing this because there's no good beginning or ending, and I had to really do some trickery, and I had to remove some applause and it took me days and lots of redos, and it took me forever to fix this.
Wow.
However, I did this. I did this a long time ago.
Episode, you kind of come into the as it's already being sung.
Yeah, right. And then at the end, there's applause and a steamboat noise, and So, but I had already edited this a long time ago for my mega 5-hour track on Chapter 1 called Magical Musical Tour of Disneyland. It's on there. So I had already done all the work. All I had to do was extract it from that big, long track. So I didn't have to redo it. It was the work had already been done a long time ago. So that's that. And I think there's one more thing I added to this chapter. Oh no, there's a couple things. This is once in a while I like to add a little something from Disney World or the other parks.
Yeah, Beacon Joe.
Beacon Joe. My friend Foxy from the website passporttodreams.com found the music that you hear when you pass by Beacon Joe in Walt Disney World, and I am using the music, and I also have the little introduction that you hear on the steamboat when you pass by, where he goes, "This is Beacon Joe," and then you hear the music that plays on a loop as you pass by. This is his little cabin. So I thought it'd be fun to include that, because he was actually the inspiration for a similar character in Pirates of the Caribbean and Disneyland, which was not originally part of the attraction. A lot of people think that he was there from the beginning. No, he was added after Beacon Joe was added to the Rivers of America and Disney World. So the guy sitting on the porch as you go through the Blue Bayou in Disneyland was an addition. He's sort of Beacon Joe's cousin.
Yeah, Bayou Joe.
Bayou Joe, right. There you go. Or Beacon Jack or
You can use your imagination.
Right. Okay, so this is another track I added. This is the whole segment that is also includes that song called Here Comes the Mark Twain, with Louis Armstrong, Kid Ory, and what's her name? I forget the name of the female singer. Monette Moore.
Monette Moore.
Who actually passed away right before this aired.
Really?
Yeah, right. She was, you could tell from watching this that she was probably not in the best health. She was quite hefty and quite sweaty. And she just looked like...
I just thought she was really into it. Boy,
she was into it. She was majorly talented, but she, unfortunately...
Yeah.
Not to bring the party down.
On the stage there, then.
I guess so. Not to bring the party down or anything.
I think it's great that you kind of strip those tracks out of the episode and you have them on their own. It's fun.
And I'm going to have the complete versions on my Disneyland and TV Land chapter if they're not there already.
Right.
The River Bell Terrace. This is a little short segment from that Day at Disneyland 1982 episode or video release where they talk about the Mickey Mouse shaped pancakes. I thought I'd include it because it's fun. I think that's the last thing for this chapter. And then we're going to talk about... Oh, no, I have one more. Native American Village Introduction. This is from the... it's actually a combination of music from three things that I sort of combined. Disneyland USA, Disneyland the Park, and An Adventure in the Magic Kingdom. Three different things that are like tours of Disneyland. And I sort of created a little introduction to the Native American village using different pieces of each. Pieces of each, pieces of each, pieces of each. That's a deep cut, folks. Wow, leave a comment in the notes if you don't know what that is, and then I'll tell you what it is.
I know what it's from.
I know you do. Okay, so the next one is the only one that I got through all the 20 that I've edited so far. So I'll show you a list of everything. Basically, I set up 20 tracks for each of these chapters, and now I'm going through and doing the final cleanup. So for this one,
Yeah, if you send me that list, that'll really make writing the show notes pretty easy for me.
Oh, I can definitely send you that list. And I'm going to show everybody that list after I'm done, just to show you what I'm talking about. But this one, I got all 20 done. So the first one, and the reason I got all of them done is because I recently did an episode, and Brian was... No, you weren't a guest, but you are a frequent listener. That's why I was thinking you were a guest on our 2-part Bear Country Jamboree episode. So a lot of these tracks I had already sort of set up for that. So it made it easy for me to add them to this.
Yeah, I may or may not have listened to those episodes 3 times.
Yeah.
Just because the music's so great.
So this is a little promotional announcement with Peter Renaday as Henry the Bear, describing the cast of the Country Bear Jamboree. It's sort of an alternative universe version of the show, because he uses some of the same descriptions he uses when he's emceeing the show, but it's delivered differently. So it's like, wait a minute, what world am I in? It's like Mandela effect or something. A Day at Disneyland is from, I gotta fix that. It should be 82. It's from that 1982 Walt Disney Home Entertainment release. Again, this is the Bear Country section of that. We're listening to Greensleeves, everyone. Name that Thanksgiving tune. So these 2 tracks, actually, it's not. It's It's a classic English folk song, and they added Christmas lyrics to it, and it's called "What Child Is This?" But originally it was Greensleeves, which is not holiday. Yeah, not holiday specific. So Bear Band Serenade, the original demo recording, and Cuddlesome Bubblesome Bear, a song written for the show that was not used. It was written for Trixie, but never used. I had these on the site already, but these are much improved, cleaned up, better audio sourced versions of these songs. So these are improved versions. That's why they're new. Country Bear Jamboree Piano Medley is from the album Chris Calabrese, Ragtime in the Magic Kingdoms from the 90s, and he did a Bear Country medley, and I thought I'd include that. Bear Band Serenade instrumental from a karaoke album. They actually have the full instrumental version without the lyrics from the original soundtrack, so I thought I'd include that. Now this section, which is, I'm not going to go through each thing because it's basically all the same, but this is from all the original recordings of all the different songs used in the Country Bear Jamboree by the original artists. So there's only 2 songs from Country Bear Jamboree that were originally written for the show: Bear Band Serenade and Come Again, the closing song. So all the songs were taken from previously written songs. So these are all the original versions by the original artists. And I also included all of these on that podcast. So that's what this is.
You take a left, you take a right.
So Tex Ritter, yeah, there's a couple songs that are bonus songs that aren't in the show, and this is one of them. You take a left. It was actually the song that they had originally wanted Bunny, Bubbles, and Beulah to sing, but they ended up switching it to All the Guys That Turn Me On. Again, I had to sort of truncate the titles here because of the new, and it would have overlapped. I need to add the word all the, or the words all the, after I take this new out. So it should say All the Guys That Turn Me On. It actually should say All the Guys That Turn Me On, Turn Me Down, but that will never fit. So Blood on the Saddle was already on the site, but I do want to clean it up. So this is sort of a redo coming soon. But I just went ahead and left the original edit there for now. But I do plan to clean up the one that's there. This whole section is done other than that. So you can actually, if you play them all in the order they're in, you'll get the alternative universe version of the Country Bear Jamboree.
It's great stuff.
This is actually, so one thing that's interesting about Blood on the Saddle from the Country Bear Jamboree is it was the only music that was not recorded specifically for the soundtrack. It was taken from a 1966 recording that was done by Tex Ritter, and they just used that recording straight from the album for the Disneyland show. Now the one up here is the 1958 version, but he re-recorded, and that's not the version used in Disneyland and Disney World. He re-recorded it in 1966, and that's the version they used in Disneyland. But they cut it. They made it like less than a minute long. This is the original 2-minute and 48-second version of that. Again, alternative universe stuff. When you listen to it, it's like, oh my gosh, wait a minute, what's happening? Why is this? Why are there more lyrics? What's going on? Why is there a bridge? I don't remember this bridge. Okay, so I added these two really fun tracks. This is a song from the new Mickey Mouse Club, which was in 1977 and 1978. They did a musical number at the Disneyland Railroad Station in New Orleans with the Country Bears, and they sang a song called Country Bears with the Country Bears. So I thought I'd include that. And then again, this is from the 25th anniversary parade, family reunion parade. This is the Bear Country section from that parade. And I think that's it for Bear Country. Let me scroll down and see. Oh no, this was already on the site, but I cleaned it up a little bit. From the 1990 Disney sing-along songs, this is The Great Outdoors that they performed on that classic video that everybody loves, including me. I didn't work on anything other than the Bear Country section, so I'm not going to scroll down any further. And we will go to the, well, I have to get to, well, no, I'm going to scroll up, because you can also navigate to the next page by clicking on here. I just have 2 more chapters to show you all. I added 16 new tracks to this chapter so far, including one that is like a major thing that I need to explain. But basically, this is the Fantasyland section from that album Walt Disney Takes You to Disneyland that I cleaned up quite a bit because there's some real bad editing glitches in the original recording. I fixed that all up. This is from those cardboard albums. This is the Fantasyland section from Your Trip to Disneyland on Records. This is from that same album that has the Frontierland, but this is the Fantasyland section. And Jiminy Cricket's, there's a Fantasyland theme song, and then Jiminy Cricket's hosts little stories of Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, and Peter Pan, with lots of songs from all of those. It's a lot of fun. Fantasyland theme instrumentals are all the different background tracks from the Disneyland USA release from 1956. Just the music, all the background music. Now this is the one I want to explain in detail because it's more than what you would think it is. So this is from the 1955 opening day um, live telecast, Dateline Disneyland, and this is the Fantasyland grand opening segment from that special, from that live TV show. And this is not just, I didn't just like cut out that section and put it on the site. I did some major cleanup on this. And another thing is I made it like the alternative reality version where nobody made any mistakes. So all the stuff where people are like, I know I can see Bob Cummings over there somewhere. Bob, are you there? Bob Cummings. Oh, he can't hear me. I can see him, but I took all that stuff out.
That's what makes it so fun.
Well, then watch the original.
And watch the show. Yeah.
Right. And I cleaned up all of the glitches and clicks and background hissing, and like this was a major project. I'm actually doing the entire show, the entire thing in the same fashion, but so far well, I have the Adventureland section done on the Adventureland page as well, but that wasn't as involved. But this took me forever, and I had already set up all of it in advance because I set up the actual full episode. But I extracted the Fantasyland section for this, and then I did the final cleanup. It took me 2 days to do the final cleanup. 2 like 16-hour days. So I meticulously went through and cleaned it up. Every little problem, every little glitch. So I'm really proud of it, and it's more than what you would think. So I just wanted to let you all know that I really worked hard on that, and I also sort of moved things around to make everything sound more cohesive and have a proper flow to it and everything, and I'm happy with it. Disneyland USA, again, this is a TV Land segment, just like I had on that Frontierland page. And this is the original Fantasyland up to 1983, by the way. So in this TV Land section, which I finished, I have all the stuff I mentioned before from all those different specials. So I'm not going to go through it again. Disneyland USA, Disneyland the Park. In this case, I did another one that's going to be added to the other chapters, but I haven't worked on yet, called An Adventure in the Magic Kingdom from 1958. This is from that same TV special, The Sounds of America. This is the Fantasyland section from that special, where there's a little Sleeping Beauty ballet segment and a tour of Storybook Land. And The Magic of Fantasyland is from a 1972 Walt Disney World documentary, but I extracted it and made it just specific to anything involving Disneyland's Fantasyland. This is from a 1981 special, a VHS, similar to that Day at Disneyland, but this was a Walt Disney World thing, but I cut it out so that it just talks about things that are in Disneyland. So I'm sort of cheating and adding Disney World stuff, but it's sort of making it into Disneyland. You know what I mean? And this is from that Day at Disneyland again, from 1982. I got it right this time. And this is the Fantasyland segment from that. And then this is from the Family Reunion Parade, the 25th Anniversary Parade, the Fantasyland section. And that's everything for this chapter.
1980.
Yeah, this one is 1980. And the other one that's 1980 is that Disneyland is Your Land stage show. So I just have one more chapter and we're done. Whew.
Hallelujah.
The New Fantasyland.
That's a Christmas song.
Right. It's also an expression of great joy. So, new Fantasyland introduction. I had this on here before, but it was a different version. Now it is just the introduction. Before I had some Pinocchio's Daring Journey music, but I cut that out and I've added it somewhere else instead. So this is a new version. And it's just an introduction that was actually from the Disneyland Railroad spiel that introduces New Fantasyland. Then New Fantasyland commercials. These are 3 television commercials talking about the New Fantasyland from the 1980s.
My first visit to Disneyland was right after that was done.
Yes, my most embarrassing incident at Disneyland was
I think
right
I know
after.
what that is. In Pinocchio's Village House or whatever. What was it called?
Well, it is called Village House, but we called it Village Haws because we didn't know.
Yeah.
How
Was
to
that
pronounce
the time your dad took the chair out from the table? You
Well,
didn't
no,
know, and you sat down?
he gave permission for the table next to us to take a chair
Oh, yeah.
because they needed an extra chair, and he thought I was going to sit in the other chair, and then I went to sit down and the chair wasn't there anymore, and I had a tray of beverages and hamburgers, and I became the tray of beverages and hamburgers when I landed on the floor. So the Land of Fantasy is from that stage show again. Disneyland is Your Land, from 1980. It's the Fantasyland segment from that. And the Land of Fantasy medley is from Euro Disneyland, when Euro Disneyland opened in 1992, but it definitely pertains to Disneyland in California as well, because it's all songs from Disneyland's Fantasyland as well. So I thought I'd include that because it's a fun little medley of music. The Happiest Place on Earth Fantasyland montage is from the 1990s VHS of Disneyland Tour, and this is the Fantasyland section from that. Fantasyland Castle medley is a medley of songs that you would hear in the Fantasyland courtyard for a time, and they still play at Walt Disney World in the area around Cinderella's castle, and it's just a medley of songs from classic Disney that have to do with fantasy and dreams, like Once Upon a Dream is a wish your heart makes, When You Wish Upon a Star, etc. This is just the sound effects from Snow White's grotto, including frogs and crickets and birds. So 1.5 minutes of frogs, crickets, and birds. Let's see what else I've added. I know I've added more. To the Peter Pan section, I added this boarding spiel, which was added in more recent years. They added all these safety boarding spiels to the attractions that were not always a part of them. This one happens to be recorded by Catherine Beaumont, the original voice of Wendy, who's still around, and she was asked to record the boarding spiel. So she does the English, and then I'm not sure, someone else, another female actress, does the Spanish version. So I got both the English and Spanish boarding spiels. And then for the Pinocchio section, the reason I took out that music for that Fantasyland introduction that I mentioned a minute ago is because I included it here instead. It's actually the music you hear in the queue of Tokyo Disneyland's Pinocchio's Daring Journey, which was an original recording, an original composition of the songs from Pinocchio. It sounds much more 80s. The version in Disneyland uses original soundtrack music, but the version in Tokyo uses this 80s weird mix of music instead for their queue.
I could remember that, because I've been on it there a couple times.
Do you remember that at all?
Oh, they're kind of that sounds like Tokyo.
Yeah,
A lot of like full orchestra, big band style of
yeah,
their
yeah.
that they would
But it gets
incorporate from the
very
Fantasyland
80s at
rides.
one point because it has this weird, like,
That's right. Yeah, they like that stuff over there.
yeah, they do. They like anything just sort of cute. They like anything cute, and they like anything Americana and anything 80s. Anything
Yes. Yeah.
50s and anything 80s.
Yeah. And anything jazzy.
So
They like
this is the
jazzy stuff.
Mad Tea Party, which was already on the site, but this is a much, and you actually listened to the original version recently because I was talking to you on Facebook and you were listening to the site on sort of a, I guess, on what do you call, where it plays random. You were listening to random version of the site, like, because Brian is a friend of mine, he has a lot of the audio on
Oh
his.
yeah, so I basically downloaded the entire audio tour to my iPhone, and sometimes I'll just hit it on shuffle.
Shuffle was the word I was
Yeah,
looking for.
and so
And while we were talking, he was listening to this, and I was thinking to myself, well, he's listening to that crappy old version that I did years ago. So this is a much cleaner version, and I actually, the original version only went through it once. This one I put it on repeat, so it actually plays through 3 times because it's a very short. Again, like that Frontierland thing, it's like the short thing that plays over and over and over and over again all day. And then I added one more thing, I think. Oh no, a couple more things, a few more things to my small world section. As a matter of fact, it's on the other page. I forgot to show it to you all. So I have to go back and show you 3 other tracks on the other page.
oh,
My
yep,
my
save that for next month.
no.
I
Let's
was
go
gonna
back.
say, well, one of the reasons why I put the audio tour onto my iPhone is when I drive for Uber, all of my riders get to enjoy the audio tour as I take them to their destinations.
Yes. So I added these 3 tracks to my little small world continent by continent section. I almost said
Wow.
something else. I don't wanna- I almost said another word which we will not say. Anyway, I have like this is just the music, just the background music, no vocals. So I have the Europe mix, an Asia mix, and an Africa mix. All the music from each of these rooms. I still have more to do. The Polynesian room, the grand finale room, tropical rainforest room, South America. But I have already finished 3 of them. So I added those as well. More to come
I was
soon.
trying to think of the person that composed those.
Yeah, I don't remember his name. It's
Do you
not the
remember?
usual. It's not the usual because the
Because
usual
he showed up in
suspects.
our trivia game that we did on Down the Rabbit Hole.
Right. The usual suspects were all occupied with all the other things. Buddy Baker and George Bruns were all working on the other things for the World's Fair. So they had to find another person to work on Small World.
Yeah, his name was Bobby Hammock.
That's right.
Yeah, did a lot
So,
of work for the Lawrence Welk TV show.
right, I remember him on there. I'm a fan of. Imagine me being a fan of the Lawrence Welk show.
Oh,
So this
that's
is
right up your alley.
this is my master list of what I'm working on right now. So this is just the 20 tracks from each chapter. And the ones that I have in gray are the ones that are done. And the ones that are in yellow are the ones that I've already done the preliminary editing, and now I just have to do the final cleanup. So basically everything on this list is either yellow or gray right now. So you
Yellow
can see,
means it's already been added.
No, yellow means I've done the cleanup preliminary editing. Gray means it's already been added and it's
Oh,
done.
okay.
So you can see chapter 10 is done, which is the Bear Country. All 20 tracks have already been added. So this is everything I've done so far. And I haven't worked on 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, or 18 yet. And I also am going to do some stuff from some of the other chapters just to make it a nice round figure of 250.
Yeah, no, this is not the master to-do list. This is like your short.
This is my short
easy to-do list.
This is my short what I'm doing right now list.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'll show you the
list that has a lot.
I'm going to show you that one right now.
There it is.
This is the master to-do list. And this is color coded in the same way, but there's some other colors involved too. Blue, there's only one thing that's blue, and blue means I did the setup for it, but I need to do more. And this is the only one that is blue. So yellow means I've already done the cleanup editing phase. Now I have to do the final cleanup. Red means I don't have the audio I need yet, so it's on hold. There's only a couple things that are red. Unhighlighted means I haven't done anything yet. There's only a few that aren't highlighted. Actually, that's not true.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. There used to only be a few, but now there's a lot. Okay, so this list should match with that other list. So everything in gray is done. Everything in yellow has been set up, but has not been added to the site yet, and it requires final cleanup. So you can see each chapter has 20, and I've done, like for chapter 7, I've done 10 out of the 20 so far. But there's a lot more than 20 that need to be done. I'm just doing 20 for now. So the grand total number, this is just things I'm going to be adding, is 1,213.
Yeah,
so,
I like how you broke this up, because you had, your list of 250 is stuff you can accomplish in a relative short amount of time, and it's been several months since you added anything to the site. So
right, I wanted to do
this in a good way.
I wanted to do that because it's been so long since I added anything, so I wanted to just sort of do a sort of a expulsion of a bunch of stuff.
Easy for a few months.
Yeah. So that is, how long did we go? An hour and 12 minutes. Not too bad. So that is my mid-month update. Thank you for joining me, Brian.
Hey, my pleasure.
And
be sure to comment, everybody, on that Facebook post.
Please. And we'll last but not least, thank you for your continued support, everybody. And have a wonderful, 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 wonderful Thanksgiving. And we will talk to you again in December. But meanwhile, look for our special feedback episode coming by the end of the month. And we also are going to be releasing a special Aristocats 50th anniversary episode of our regular podcast. So look for that by the end of the month as well. Lots of stuff happening for November. So we will see you all see you in December.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.